JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, Deputy Mayor of Sav ousted from office. Councillor for the Betheltown Division, the People's National Party's Danry Delancey, has been removed as the Deputy Mayor of Sav-la-Mar. He was ousted following the moving of a contentious motion. The motion resulted in a long debate, and verbal bars being hurled across the floor as the councillors discussed the bylaws of the council and the Municipal Corporation Act of 2016.
That is not necessary. I did not say that.
Some councillors elected on a PMP ticket insisted that the bylaws were not rescinded to make way for the new law. However, Mayor Bertel Moore, who insisted that he would need legal advice, later accepted that the 2016 Act supersedes the bylaws. A vote of 7-4 and 4 against then followed to remove Delancey. A vote of 7-4 and 4 against later followed for a council of the Little London Division, Ian Miles, to be the new Deputy Mayor of Sav-la-Mar. Miles was one of 3 councillors who resigned from the PMP on Monday, shifting the balance of power in the corporation to 5 members of the PMP, 4 members of the JLP and 3 independents. The meeting was observed by Local Government Minister Desmond Mackenzie and the 3 members of Parliament for Westmoreland. They are MPs for Westmoreland Western, Moreland Wilson, Westmoreland Eastern, Daniel Lawrence, and Westmoreland Central, George Wright. Wilson and Lawrence, like Mackenzie, were elected on a JLP ticket. So was Wright, who later became an independent. Manchester woman arrested after gun found in bag. A Manchester woman has been arrested following the seizure of an illegal gun in the community of Compound in Alligator Pond on Wednesday morning. A senior police source said about 7:30 a.m., a .38 revolver was found in the woman's possession. Along with 17 assorted rounds found in a bag she had. She was seen acting strange, which arose the police's suspicion, and she was apprehended and searched, said the source. "We're doing further investigations into the incident," the source added. This follows last Tuesday's incident where a 21-year-old man was arrested after an illegal gun was found hidden in the ceiling of his house in Top Bay in Alligator Pond. Stepson of murdered banker Andrew Garwood found not guilty. Tavon Garwood, who was charged with the murder of his stepmother, Andrea Garwood, as she worshipped in church, has been found not guilty. This after the Crown told the court no further evidence would be presented against Garwood. Chief Justice Brian Sykes then directed jurors to deliver a verdict of not guilty. The Crown's case collapsed after convicted triggerman Dwight Prince Bingham did not take the stand. Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn says multiple efforts to get Bingham to become a witness in the case against Tavon failed. She says without his cooperation, the prosecution did not have enough evidence against Garwood.
You had evidence that would show some amount of suspicion, but we needed to go a little bit further. We needed a little bit more to be able to pass the threshold of the no case. An assessment was done after Leon Hines, that was the taxi driver for the killer, Bingham, gave evidence, and I think Garwood's son also gave evidence. And when the Crown assessed the rest of the material, that was left. It would not have taken the case any higher. So the Crown would still have fallen short of being able to establish the prima facie case to the requisite threshold required as a matter of law. So what the Crown had would have been suspicion, but the Crown needed to go a little bit further. And the only way we would have been able to do that, which we hoped from day one we would have been able to do, was to engage Bingham, the killer, in plea negotiation. Right? As we have done in many other cases. The missionary case that is going on now, that is what we did. So you have a former court giving evidence against the other in terms of the plea negotiation that we engaged in. But as I said, up to time and time again, we sought to engage them and they refused.
Puppy will not be missed, says Ellis. Senior Superintendent of Police Vernon Ellis The commanding officer for St. James says former wanted man Tavon Johnson, who was killed during a shootout with the security forces Tuesday night, will not be missed. This is not the first time Poppy has fired at the police, but I'm sure this was his last, Ellis said Wednesday morning, hours after Johnson, of a Crawford Street address, was gunned down in Mount Salem, Montego Bay. Johnson was wanted for several murders committed across the parish, according to police, and was among several criminals Ellis said were proven to be cowards when they came up against well-trained lawmen. They all think because they have guns and they attack other citizens who are unarmed, they are superior fighters or brave men. We all know that he was no angel and he won't be missed. As a matter of fact, Jamaica will be a safer place without him, he stated. Ellis appealed to Jamaicans to help with the nation of individuals who are determined to make the island an unsafe place. It is time to take a stand against those who are willing to push our country into chaos and take back what is rightfully ours, he argued. The commanding officer said the focus would now be placed on another wanted man, O'Shane Brocken Francis, also of Mount Salem. Both Johnson and Francis, after making it onto the St. James Most Wanted list, were told to turn themselves into the police weeks ago, but neither gave any attention to the request. We want to wrap things up and restore normalcy to Mount Salem, said Ellis, noting that with Johnson's death, the community can return to its former quiet state. Brockand, he said, has been creating havoc in the once peaceful Mount Salem community. I understand he's planning to leave the island by boat, but if he leaves and reaches the U.S. via the Mexican border, he'll have to look behind him, because we will not stop pursuing him, he promised. He blames the wanted men for disrupting and disrespecting the work, sacrifices, and energies put behind establishing and maintaining a successful Zone of Special Operations, ZOZO, in Mount Salem. The zone operated for 3 years without any murders. As a result of the killings carried out, particularly in that district, the month of May became the bloodiest in the parish. The ZOZO was designed to make people's lives safe. We are creating safe spaces. They must respect the zone. There's a consequence of committing a murder in it, said Ellis, seemingly ready to take the fight to the streets. In his next sentence, he said, all peace talks were off. Everywhere they are, we will pursue them. We have no other interest. Some are in Clarendon, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth, and we'll go into those parishes. I am promising them. He said too many resources are invested in Montego Bay, and he would not sit and let them overrun the city of Montego Bay. The mistake we made when some of them fled the area during the start of the ZOZO, we allowed it, and they went overseas and started sending back guns, he stated. Bunga Ricky chopped to death in St. Mary. Police are trying to find the attacker of a man who was chopped to death on PMP Lane in Onoto Bay, St. Mary on Wednesday night. The dead man, identified as Patrick Samuels, otherwise called Bunga Ricky, was found with several chop wounds at his home and later pronounced dead at hospital. It was reported that around 9:30 p.m., residents heard the now deceased crying out for help from his house. The residents summoned the police, who went to the community, entered Samuel's home, and found him with several chop wounds to the head, both hands, chest, and back. He was rushed by the police to the Onoto Bay Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly before midnight. The body was removed to the morgue, pending a post-mortem examination. No motive has been established for the attack, the police said. 36-year-old slapped with multiple charges after allegedly assaulting woman and police. A 36-year-old man was slapped with several charges, including assaulting a female, assaulting a police officer, and resisting arrest following an incident on Payot Street in Kingston. In addition to the above charges, Damian White of Payot Street, Kingston 12, has been charged with disorderly conduct. According to police reports, at about 4:30 p.m., White had an altercation with a woman, during which he allegedly hit her in the face. The woman made a report to the police, who went to the scene to apprehend White. However, upon the police's arrival, White reportedly started behaving in a boisterous manner and proceeded to physically assault a policeman. White was subsequently subdued and arrested. Charges were later laid against him. Arrangements were being made for him to answer to said charges in court. 6 in custody after seizure of guns and lottery scamming paraphernalia. 6 men were arrested after 2 homemade guns, a notebook, and 14 cell phones containing information about overseas residents were seized during an operation at Orrit Lane, Buff Bay, Portland on Wednesday. Reports from the Port Antonio police are that about 1:30 p.m., lawmen carried out an operation in the area when a premises was searched and the 2 guns found. A further search of the property revealed 1 notebook and 1 Samsung cell phone, containing the identity and contact information of persons living overseas. 13 additional cell phones were found in a bag inside the dwelling. Another premises in the area was searched and the 6 men were taken into custody. Their identities are being withheld pending further investigations. Chuck wants Romy Skiller caught. Member of Parliament, MP for St. Andrew North East, Delroy Chuck, is convinced that finding the person or persons responsible for the murder of Omar Romy Wright will go a far way to restoring calm in the tension-filled community of Grandspen, St. Andrew. Romy was killed by unknown assailants in the community on June 7. Detectives probing his killing called in entertainer Jashi for questioning. He was never charged, and neither was he listed as a suspect. Last Friday morning, a convoy transporting the dancehall star was attacked and shot up. The entertainer escaped unharmed, but 6 members of his entourage were shot and injured. Chuck said there is no evidence that the 2 incidents are related. He, however, stressed that finding Romy's killers would go a far way in reducing the tension in Grandspen. One of the things I'm trying to encourage is to really try to find out exactly who is responsible for the killing so that the person can be brought to justice, said Chuck, who has been MP for the area since 1997. We need to expose wrongdoing and expose all of those who feel that they need to carry guns around. The impression that I'm getting is that persons are so afraid that several of them are being seen with firearms. If they are caught with the firearms, then the likelihood is that they'll be serving 15 years in custody, he said. He said that he'll not be assisting anyone caught with an illegal firearm. If they are found with firearms, I'm telling them not to come to me to assist them in any way, and I've never done that. I've always had a zero-tolerance approach when it comes down to anyone carrying an illegal firearm, Chuck said. The MP said that he has spoken to the feuding parties and that it appears that misinformation may be at the heart of the current conflict. I think it is fair to say that the parties feel that there should be retaliation. There is no doubt you get that feeling, but we're hoping that it can be calmed down, the MP said. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.